Hey guys, Captain Dylan Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina, and it's that time. Happy Sunday night, y'all. It is time for our Sunday night live stream show. If you haven't been here before, you've been missing out, but now you're home. And we talk a little bit about fishing, inshore, nearshore, and offshore. We give away free stuff. We answer your questions live, and we have a blast doing it. So welcome to our Sunday night show. It happens every Sunday night right here on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, Trovo, all those different things. But if you want to win free trips, you do have to comment at least one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. That's right, we give away tons of free stuff during our live stream show. But in order to win, you do have to comment at least one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. That enters you for a chance to win. Then you have to watch the whole show live. Yes, you actually have to be watching live. And in order to prove you're watching live, if you're picked as one of those lucky winners, your name pops up on the screen, I announce you live. You have to respond within 5 minutes by texting us at the phone number at the bottom of the screen to prove you're watching live, make it fair for everybody else. And you have to text us your home address so we can mail you out what you won. We give away a 5-hour half day for two, a 10-hour all day for two, and a 39-hour trip for one, plus a Hubbard's Marina swag pack. Sometimes we have other giveaways too, but those are the mainstays that we do every week. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. We always start by talking a little bit about what we're catching now, showing you some photos. Then we get into the weather. Then we do a few announcements. Then we get into your questions. If you want your question answered live during the show, we'll do that. But you have to text in your question because the comments, they come really fast. We don't see all the comments. We're streaming to multiple different Facebook pages, multiple different platforms, a lot of different social media channels and accounts. So we won't see your comment all the time. So in order for us to be able to answer your question live during the show, you have to text it to the phone number on the screen. Also, want to make sure we give a shout out to our friends over at Gator Jim's Tackle. The show is brought to you by our friends at Gator Jim's Tackle, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. Make sure you stop by and say hello to our friends at Gator Jim's Tackle. They got killer deals. They've got a huge selection, the biggest inventory around, really nice people, and great deals. So go check out Gator Jim's Tackle. You don't want to miss out. Again, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. Now, finally, before we get into the photos, one last thing, we want to make sure we shout out our supporters group. If you're a part of our supporters group, you help make this show possible as well. You make our world go round, and you have access to our private supporters page. That private supporters page is where our after show happens. After our main show, we have another after show in the private supporters group, and it's a good time. A little bit more one-on-one, a little bit more question and answer, and a lot more communication. So check out the supporters group. It's only $4.99 a month, and they get a lot of value. T-shirts, fishing trips, other random stuff that we give away in there, plus a lot more communication in that after show as well for $4.99 a month. Also want to make sure we shout out our star senders for those not watching on Facebook. Stars are something you can send on Facebook, and it's a way to help support and fuel the show. And it definitely helps us to do more cool things as well. So want to make sure we give a shout out to those on Facebook who have been sending stars. Stephen Batchelor, Rick Rogers with a big 500 stars, Todd Stutzman, John Bull, Jasmine Marie, Keith White, LaShonda Brown, Charles Carter, Jeff Reedy with a big 2,400 stars. Appreciate you, Jeff. Ryan Kelly, Larry White, what's up, man? Thanks for the 500 stars. Scott Flynn, Eric Seaberg with a big 1,000 stars. Thank you, Eric. Jennifer Neal, Jeff Pender with 500. Thanks, buddy. James McCullum with 500 as well. Thank you, James. Jennifer Neal, Sam Lang with 490. Appreciate you, Sam. Ed Mack and Jennifer Neal again. Thank you all very much for the stars. We appreciate you very, very much for making the show possible. Gary Camage, what's up, buddy? All right, Now, with that, we talked a little bit about how to win trips. We talked about how to send stars. We thanked our supporters. Now it's time to get into the photos and show you guys what we've been catching this week. We don't have a lot of photos to show you, unfortunately. A little light on the photo department this past week because of the weather. So it's mostly the inshore side of things that we have going on this week. A lot of redfish action up in the backwaters around the mangroves, dock lines. We've been talking a lot about the redfish. The sheepshead as well, really fired up right now. Docks, piers, bridges, jetties, the back bay areas on those oyster bars. We're seeing the snook in the upper back bay. Back country areas, definitely some good snook. If you can find those wind protected, sun protected shorelines, you can find the snook in the upper and back bay areas. And we're seeing quite a few snook being caught in the upper and back bay areas. Then the nice redfish, as I mentioned, some big trout. The trout get big this time of year, get shallower as well, get a little bit more aggressive. And this is our one near shore and offshore photo. We did make it offshore once, but it has been treacherous, man. Weather is killing us. Weather is definitely putting a damper on things, but we had an opportunity to fish today. We made it out there on our half-day trip today, but the fishing was a little slow as expected right behind the front. Tomorrow's going to be a lot better, and Tuesday should be a really good day, but we're going to get into the weather here very shortly and talk more about that and show you guys what's going on weather-wise, but big thing is making sure you're capitalizing on these weather windows. We've been talking about that every morning in our daily updates, and we're going to keep those daily updates going as much as possible, whenever at all possible. Going to make sure we give you guys an idea of when the best day is to go, what's biting, what's going on, and keeping you up to date with as much communication as physically possible. So definitely trying our best, and hopefully you guys appreciate that. Now, let's get into the weather, show you guys what's going on. We're going to pop over to the Hubbard's Marina website page. We're going to hit fishing trips. We're going to click that second one down, weather links. We're going to click this 5 and 10 hour forecast in area on Wind Finder and take a peek at the top of the page. We can clearly see what continues to be the trend of just really nasty weather. But you get these little weather windows. These weather windows are what I'm talking about right here. These dark blues, these light blues, little less wind, and the wind calms down for a brief period. And those little weather windows are when the fish are going to be feeding best. So we have that weather window. Today, it calmed down a little bit for us. Wind wasn't blowing so hard. It was still 3 foot this morning, but you can see it was an 8-second period. So today we were able to get out there. It was a little bit of a tough bite because the water was still pretty murky. It was still pretty cold, but tomorrow's going to be a lot better. The wind's going to calm down even more. Seas have calmed down even more. It's warmed up a little bit as well. There is going to be a decent rain chance, but it's going to be pretty scattered, nothing real crazy. So we'll be able to get out there and do some fishing on the half-day trip tomorrow. Tuesday, same thing. The wind is not really picked up too strong until Tuesday night when that front comes through. So most of the day Tuesday, moderate winds, warmed up to mid-60s, and only 1 foot with a 4-second period. So Tuesday looks really good. Monday looks pretty darn good. Tuesday looks terrible. We get another cold front. Wednesday looks terrible. We get another cold front, starts blowing like crazy. So get out there and capitalize on this weather window Monday or Tuesday. Front comes through Tuesday night. Wednesday's terrible. Thursday, it starts to calm down Thursday afternoon. Friday looks pretty decent. Looks like we'll be able to get out there Friday and do some nice fishing. Calm winds, calm seas, and it's going to pick up Friday around 4, 5, 6 o'clock. Another big cold front, another big frontal boundary. And you can see that does not quit. That frontal boundary comes through, a high pressure settles in behind it and just rips our area apart with wind. So definitely looks like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday don't look good for the advanced forecast, but those advanced forecasts you can't really put too much weight in. They can change a lot. So we know for sure tomorrow, Monday, looks pretty darn good. Tuesday looks great. Friday looks pretty good as well. Maybe even Thursday. Thursday probably going to be a little tougher fishing though. So Monday okay, Tuesday's the best, Monday's second best, Friday's right there with Monday, and then Thursday's down towards the bottom. Wednesday probably not fishing. Saturday, Sunday probably not fishing. And that's kind of what we're looking at weather-wise as far as the short term. I'm not going to look much past Friday or Saturday because that's going to change a lot most likely. So it's still early. I wouldn't get too wrapped around the axle looking too far in advance. But we know for sure tomorrow, Monday, looks pretty darn good. Tuesday looks great. And then we'll see where the rest of the week kind of plays out from there. We're on the backside of a new moon. New moon moved through, still some good moving water around. So still some good major and minor feeding times. We're coming up on that quarter moon Thursday. And then we'll be working our way to a full moon. So should be some good opportunities, like I said, here Monday and Tuesday, the backside of this new moon. All right, so we talked about what's biting now. We went into the weather a little bit. As far as announcements go, we do have a couple events coming up that we want to make sure we remind you about. We have February 6th. We have our Captain Palooza event. We're going to be posting some of those flyers and event stuff on our social media here in the next few days. Captain Palooza happens at Finn's Fishing Club in Apollo Beach. I will be there. Captain Mike Anderson will be there. Our Florida Guides Association board will be there. We'll be signing people up for the Florida Guides Association and trying to get the name out there a little bit. So hopefully you can join us. Captain Palooza, Finn's Bar and Grill in Apollo Beach. That is, again, Tuesday, February 6th. Then also, not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday, January 23rd, we have the Bartow Ford event. That is Captain Mike Anderson and Danny Allen, Captain Danny Allen, who also has a TV show as well. So two really, really good people. Free food from Silver Ring Cafe, free Engel coolers, lots of real animal swag. You can win a Bull Bay rod. I will not be at Bartow Ford. That is the day before my birthday, and I got stuff going on, so I won't be able to make it myself. But Captain Mike Anderson will be there. Captain Danny Allen will be giving a great seminar, so you don't want to miss that out. And then finally, we have our Final Friday event coming up as well. 2 weeks away from Final Friday. Remember, every last Friday of every month, we have the Final Friday event. And Final Friday, end of January, we're going to be doing a barbecue contest. First place gets $300 trip fare towards your next trip. Second place is a $100 trip fare. Third place is a Hubbard's Marina swag pack. So if you want to bring some barbecue, enter the contest. It's absolutely free. You can win $300 towards your next trip. Then also, we're going to have free beer. We're going to have the free crawfish boil. It's going to be a blast. So hopefully we'll see you for Final Friday at the end of January. Then this coming weekend, January 19th, 20th, and 21st, looks a little bumpy and breezy, looks a little chilly. Good time to come out to John's Pass and join us for Seafood Fest. That is this coming weekend, January 19th, 20th, and 21st. Going to be a good time, and hopefully we'll see you out for Seafood Fest. So lots of good events coming up, lots of good stuff going on, and good opportunities to join us, whether you want to go fishing or if you want to come join one of those great events. So hopefully we'll see you out. Now, it is time to get into some questions. If you guys have some questions, make sure you text them to your phone number at the bottom of the screen, and we'll get into your questions and start answering some questions as well. So make sure if you have a question you want answered live during the show, make sure you shoot us a message to the phone number at the bottom of the screen. While we're pulling up these questions as well, want to make sure we give a shout out here. D Beers, thank you for the 1,000 stars. Appreciate you, D. Adam Franklin, appreciate those 800 stars. Appreciate you, buddy. Brian Eakins, what's going on? Richard Blazak, what's up, buddy? Thank you, star senders, tonight for making it possible. Also, I saw a question come through there. How did that 5-hour trip do today? It was a little slow today, unfortunately. Right behind that front, that water was still pretty stirred up. It was still pretty chilly. Wind was still blowing a little bit. Remember, behind the front, the seas have to have a chance to calm down. Wind has to have a chance to calm down, and that water's got to clear up a little bit, and then the fish start chewing really well. We didn't have that time, and it didn't quite pick up the way we wanted to today. But tomorrow, I would guarantee tomorrow's going to be a lot better than today, and probably pretty darn good fishing would be my bet guarantee. All right, so first question: went out on the 10-hour with Captain Seabass. Had a great time catching fish. And how did Seabass get his nickname? Honestly, it's kind of a lackluster story. Seabass got his nickname because his name is Sebastian. So it's not a very, it's uneventful, right? Anticlimactic. It's just Seabass because his name is Sebastian. So we are not very inventive or creative, unfortunately. Let's see what other questions we have. On the 12-hour extreme, how's the bite usually in April? April's a good time to go. Really, on the 12-hour extreme, it's always a good opportunity to get out there into deep water. Typically, the bite's pretty darn good year-round. It really depends on what you want to catch. April's a good time because April and May, really both, because we're before red snapper season, when everybody and their brother thinks that's the only time to fish, and it gets really busy. Super overrated, in my opinion. And also, it's not quite hot yet. May, like the first couple weeks of May, so end of April, early May, is really my favorite time of year because we're on the backside of cold front season. We're not getting the cold fronts anymore. The summer hasn't kicked in. It's not really hot yet. It's a beautiful time to get out there on the water, and there's not a lot of people around. If we have a late Easter and it kind of goes into mid-April, sometimes we'll be a little busier, but generally, late April, early May, it's slow. There's not a lot of people around. Summer break hasn't kicked off yet. It's not hot. It's not cold. Fishing is going well, too. That transitional period is on. Late April, early May, into October, not really late September. I would say mid-October-ish into early November-ish is the same thing. Those transition periods, those shoulders, when we're transitioning in the spring, late April, early May, we're transitioning from the cold months into the warm months. And then around October-ish into early November, we're transitioning from those warmer months to those cooler months. And those transition periods are some of my favorite times to fish. Also, in April and May, we generally have a really good red grouper bite going on. We're seeing a lot of big mangroves. It's a good time to get out there on the water. And triggerfish as well, typically a good option out there. So good stuff to catch for sure. What species can you catch on the Hubbard's Marina dock? Right now, sheepshead and more sheepshead. Plus, the guys have been catching some nice redfish. Captain Richie has been working on the Flying Hub 2 quite a bit, and he's had a line out the back catching redfish as well. So a lot of redfish around the dock lines right now, but sheepshead would be my main target. And trout at night around the bridge lights probably would be your best bet. Let's see here. I think it's time to give away our first free trip of the night, and then we'll get into some more questions. Remember, we got a 5-hour half day for 2 to give away, a 10-hour all day for 2 to give away, a 39-hour for 1, and a Hubbard's Marina swag pack. In order to win, you have to comment once on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream, but we'd also appreciate if you like and share. That helps us to spread the word to more people. So like, share, comment. We appreciate it. Then you have to watch live. You have to stay tuned live. If you're picked as one of the lucky winners and we announce your name and it comes up on the screen, you text us within 5 minutes to prove you're watching live. So that's a quick reminder how it works. You have to watch live. You have to watch the whole show, and you have to comment one time. But we hope that you also like, comment, share, all that good stuff. All right, let's find out who the lucky winner is of our first free trip giveaway of the night. Let's do our 10-hour all day for 2 guests. 10-hour all day for 2 guests goes to Richard Blazak. What's up, buddy? Congratulations. 10-hour all day for 2 guests. You get an opportunity to come get those hogfish I would go end of February. Once the Florida gets back, you'll have a good opportunity. We have the Hub running the 10-hour all-day trips right now, which is a good opportunity to get out there, but definitely a little bit more sought after, so there's not as much availability right now. Other than red snapper, what species will be around the 39-hour, 12-hour stream during June and July? Red snapper, and then red snapper, and then red snapper. They're spreading the seasons out. So we used to have gags open in June and July with red snapper. That's no longer the case. Red grouper last year ended early in red snapper season. This year they could end even before red snapper season starts potentially. So I would go into red snapper season counting on it being super hot, trips sold out, and only fishing for red snapper with the other heads and tails like mangrove snapper, yellowtail snapper, some of the other fish. Cannot emphasize it enough. There's so many other fish to catch. So many people are only going fishing in June and July, and it drives me crazy because there's so many other good times of the year to come out here and so many other good fish to catch and eat. And red snapper, in my opinion, aren't even the best eating fish. So keep in mind there's plenty of other fish to catch, but during June and July we should maybe have red grouper open. We'll catch the mangrove snapper, yellowtail snapper, vermilion snapper, almacos, porgies. There's a lot of other heads and tails, but red snapper would be the target. Do you guys or Gator Gyms have a decent selection of slow pitch jigging setups? So we have a lot of the slow pitch jigging reels, and when I say a lot of the slow pitch jigging reels, I mean Daiwa. We have a huge selection of Daiwa reels. We do have a handful of Temple Reef rods. Gator Gyms is going to have a bigger selection of slow pitch rods. We have a surprisingly large selection of slow pitch jigs, and especially hooks for slow pitch jigs, assist hooks, split ring pliers, jig bags. We have a lot of that stuff in our shop, but Gator Gyms has that stuff as well. But I would say we have a lot of good options for sure. But Gator Gyms is a much bigger tackle shop. Our shop is a ticket office that has souvenirs, hats, shirts, other souvenirs, gifts, kid stuff. We have a small tackle section that's really geared towards people fishing off the dock, around the bridge, off the jetty, and then mostly geared towards people fishing on our trips, on our 5, 10, 12, 39-hour trips. That's kind of how our tackle shop goes. So we don't have a ton of combos, a huge selection of reels, but we have a pretty good selection of everything. Surprisingly good selection of everything, but it is not a full-blown tackle shop. Definitely cannot even, it's not even in the same conversation as Gator Gyms. On the all-day trip, January 16th, are they fishing for hogfish or red grouper? So our 10-hour trips, right now, we're generally fishing a little deeper to start, depending on the weather, and then fishing a little shallower towards the second half of the day if the deep water bite isn't going well. Today was kind of the opposite. We started a little shallower and kind of stayed around that depth for most of the day because the bite was going okay, and just didn't make it out there because of the rougher, windier weather. So it kind of depends on the weather to a sense, but generally we're going to be starting a little deeper, trying to see if those red grouper will bite, and if they don't, we work our way in, trying to get those hogfish to bite. So we do a little bit of both. But really, if you want red grouper, the 12-hour extreme is the way to go. That's when you're going to have the best chance for red grouper. And then when our 39-hours start up again, February 16th, that would be another good option as well. So I would recommend 39, 44-hour trips. If you're, or 12-hour extreme trips if you're doing the red grouper, if that's what you want. Hogfish, 10-hour trip's a great option for sure. What size naked ball jig do you recommend for a 10-hour, 5 or 10-hour for hogfish? 2 ounce. The problem is they don't make a 2 ounce really at all. It's really hard to get a 2 ounce naked ball jig. We have come up with the banana jigs. One of our captains, Rob, came up with his own jig line called Roggy's Rigs, and he has a banana jig that we have 2 ounce versions of, and that's what we use for the hogfish. But we've got Capt Mike Anderson, fresh off a Packers win, on the phone. What's going on, buddy?
Oh, just sitting around, chilling.
What was the final score of the game? Like 107?
48-32.
Oh,
Packers went into prevent defense pretty early.
oh wow.
Because it was,
Yeah.
it was pretty much in hand. So
Yeah.
they gave up some points there at the end that they, probably shouldn't have. But we'll take it. I didn't see it coming, but by golly, we'll take it. They sure look good today. Hopefully the Bucs can do the same.
Yeah, that's
hopefully
crazy,
the Bucs can do the same tomorrow. If the Bucs can do the same tomorrow, then it's been a heck of a weekend.
Yeah. I have faith the Bucs will do well tomorrow. They're going to beat the Eagles handedly tomorrow. Is my hope. Jalen Hurts is still hurt, right? He hurt his finger, I believe.
Yeah, I think he's still beat up. Yep.
That's a good thing for us.
They got a shot for sure. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting. So,
all right. Well, it'll be a good game tomorrow for sure. So
no doubt.
Fishing wise, what are we after? What are we seeing?
Well, it's tough. Everybody I've talked to up and down the coast, as I'm trying to film some shows here, everybody's kind of seeing the same thing. A lot of small fish. We caught some decent redfish on Monday up in Homosassa on the negative low tide, but, we caught a lot more small fish than we did big fish. We caught 5 or 6, 25 to 28-inch redfish, and then, we caught a pile of the dinks. We caught a few nice sheephead too. And, it sounds like a broken record because, it just seems like we're in that pattern, but week after week, it's kind of the same. It's the same report, but I mean, it's what you have right now when, your air temps are dipping into the 50s on a regular basis. That water temp is dropping. And as it drops, your cold water species are the ones that are going to eat, so your sheephead, your redfish, your trout are the ones who are going to, be the easier targets. And that's kind of what all the guys been doing. I've heard there's been some bluefish around as well, which is another cold water tolerant fish. And lots of fun to catch on the flats, especially if you're fishing with trout with paddle tails or something like that. And you can get into some bluefish. That's never a bad thing. So, it just is what it is. And I think the big thing to talk about is just trying to be smart. These fronts and this wind, it's so stacked up. I mean, it just seems like we're not getting these big windows. And that was always one thing about these cooler winters is you would get those weather windows in between where it would just warm up just a little bit, and just a couple of ticks in that water temperature can turn the bite on. But we're really just not getting that. We're getting a day here and a day there that's doable, and the rest of it's kind of shot. Yeah. So it's making things really tough. And I'm pretty blessed because, I've got the radio shows and the TV show and the charter business. There's a lot of great charter captains in Florida that just have the charter business. And when the weather is down like this, they're not working, they're not making money. So, we need this weather to turn around and get everybody back on the water chasing fish around and doing what they do.
For sure. Yeah, and this time of year is a little bit more important for, like, the tactics, right? I mean, that if you get into the backcountry right now on a day where it's not super rainy and super cold and crazy windy, if you can find one of those sun-drenched, wind-protected shorelines, that's the kind of thing you're looking for, with some moving water, some potholes. What are you looking for?
You're really trying to find some dark bottom. I mean, yes, stuff that's protected from the north wind is always good, especially if you get some clear bluebird skies and you can get some sun baking on some seawalls and all that to radiate some heat. But the key for me has always been try to find some dark mud bottom, that dark, muddy, black mud we get in Tampa Bay and some of these, creeks and canals and some of the backcountry spots. That stuff heats up faster. And again, the beauty of it is you only need just a couple of degrees is what you need. We actually had a call today. Captain Jeff Page called in, and, on some of these negative lows, he's out of the boat, he's in his waders, and he's working those same spots. Wherever you have some big, deep depressions with that dark mud bottom, that's going to hold some fish. Mm-hmm. It just is. Because, again, you've got the depression there, and then you've got that mud bottom that is going to heat up just a little bit more. And, again, it's probably going to be, trout and redfish, maybe a sheephead or two. But, that's where they're going to be, and that should be your target species right now. Leave them snook alone as, they're struggling probably more than the rest with this cold water.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely seem to be moving slow. The redfish, though, they're stacking up a little bit on the docks of Johns Pass, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
A lot of little rats, but pretty fun.
But listen, and I've said it a million times, and I know people probably get tired of hearing it because, you know, I keep saying it, but listen, we've had some years here in the past 10 years, we've probably had, you know, 3 years in 10 where we saw this really good rat redfish bite.
Yeah.
Every time we see this, the spring and the fall red fishing is phenomenal. So to me, it's incredible. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled by seeing all the rat reds. It's just a bonus. And the good news is I filmed a show down at South Seas with Ozzie Lessinger here a month and a half ago. We caught a pile of small rat reds. I went up there towards Homosassa on the negative low, caught a pile of rat reds. You know, we're catching them here on our charters. That's really a good indicator for the West Coast redfish fishery.
Yeah.
We need all the areas to be rolling strong, and it certainly looks like, you know, that's going to be the case, at least on the redfish side. I'm still not totally thrilled, although I talked to some guys and I got a few good reports around Tampa Bay. I'm still not thrilled with our trout bite.
Yeah.
But again, I did talk to some guys that were having some luck, so you know that could be me not on the water as much as I normally am this time of year, just because I'm a baby for the cold. But you know, again, nobody's told me that they're crushing them, but they're telling me that they're finding pockets here and there. So you know, hopefully, you know, maybe even this week, even though it's going to be pretty cold and could be a little miserable out there. If I can't film, I'm just going to splash the boat and I'm going to go throw white paddle tails in some areas that should be historically have been holding a lot of trout this time of year, and kind of go see if I can get a read on that part of our fishery.
There it is. Go out there and hunt them down, right?
Yeah, that's all you can do. Time on the water this time of year. See if you can find a bite and pattern it out. You know, the old adage, when it's cold, you got to slow it down. And if you think you're going slow it down some more. That's going to be the case if you're going to try and throw artificials. Most of the fish we've been catching are coming on either jig heads with a shrimp, or what I like to use is a circle hook with a 1/4 ounce egg sinker just above the hook. So it acts just like a jig head, except you're getting the advantage of having the circle hook there.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes, although they're not really overly aggressively eating right now because of the cold water, but a lot of times if you're fishing cut bait or something and you need some weight to get it down to keep the birds away from it, think about going to that egg sinker with the circle hook, just because you're going to get less of those gut hooked fish. You know, most of the jig heads are all coming with J hooks on them.
Yeah.
So just something to think about for the conservation side.
There it is. Awesome, man. Well, we appreciate it as always. Congrats on the big win tonight, and hopefully the Bucks will do it again tomorrow.
Go Bucks, buddy. I appreciate you. You guys have a great night. Thanks for the vibe.
All right, brother. Appreciate you.
All right, partner.
See you, man.
See you, bud.
Always a good time talking to our friend Capt Mike and enjoying the added information to the show on the inshore side of things. It is cold, and the fish know it, and the fish are not able to bundle up like you and I, so they react a little differently. They're looking for a little reprieve, and they are trying to find it in any way they can, for sure. So some good info there for sure, and we'll get right back into your questions here. So what is our next question? Can you eat sheep's head and hogfish? Yes, you can. Sheep's head and hogfish are really good eating. Sheep's head, hard to fillet, but extremely good to eat. Really fun to catch as well. You can get them really fired up around dock lights, bridge lights, and we generally do really well on the sheep's head this time of year, especially when it gets cooler and you get a little bit more action, stirred up condition. They really, really get concentrated and aggressive for sure. Hogfish, one of the best eating fish we catch. Definitely in my top 5 favorite eating fish, and you can definitely eat those hogfish. Someone else asked, next question was, on the 5-hour half-day trip, what is the fish you guys catch the majority of? On a 5-hour half day, keep in mind that is our shortest trip closest to shore. It's kind of our beginning anglers trip. So we get a lot of first-time anglers, young anglers, families. The 5-hour half day is great for any level experienced angler, from your 3, 4, 5-year-old all the way to your 78-year-old grandfather, grandmother, whatever. Any level experience, any age is welcome on the 5-hour trip. It's our shortest trip closest to shore. We get a lot of good eating fish, but they're smaller good eating fish because it is our shortest trip closest to shore. So mostly what we're catching are what we call gray snapper, also known as a white grunt or Key West grunt. We also catch some porgies. You have a chance for some black sea bass. And this time of year, we have those. This time of year, we have those hogfish. And the hogfish are biting really well this time of year, mostly on the 10-hour trips. But you definitely have a good chance for them on the 5-hour half day as well. So 5-hour half day is going to be mostly those gray snapper or white grunts and porgies, but you have a chance for some sea bass, chance for those hogfish, maybe even a lane snapper. 10-hour trip, you go twice as far for twice as long compared to the 10-hour or compared to the 5-hour trip. So the 10-hour goes a little deeper, a little further, but it's still kind of an intermediate angler trip. We're not getting past 100 foot. You're still getting a lot of those white grunts or gray snapper and porgies. Now, you have more fishing time. You're a little deeper. We really get a chance to dial in on those hogfish this time of year. You also have a real good shot at those lane snapper. We see some mangrove snapper. You start to have a chance for those red grouper. It's our shortest trip closest to shore that gives you a chance for grouper. And then you get into the specialty trips. The specialty trips are more for advanced anglers. Those are the 12-hour night snapper trips that we offer on Friday nights around the moon phases from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Then we have the 12-hour extreme, which is 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's going to the same area as our 39 and 44-hour trip. You buzz out there 2.5, 3 hours, fish 70 to 100 miles generally from Johns Pass, fish in deep water. And then 39 and 44-hour trips, which fishes that same area as the 12-hour extreme, 70 to 100 miles from Johns Pass. Generally about 120 to up to about 250 foot of water. We're targeting the bigger fish, the bigger grouper and snapper and that kind of thing. So that's kind of how it works and the breakdowns of the different trips. Keep in mind, we also have private fishing charters as well. You can privately charter the Hub. You can privately charter the Flying Hub 2. You can even privately charter the party boats. So lots of private charter options for you as well. Richard Harcourt, appreciate those stars, buddy. David Pruitt with 1,000 stars. Big shout out to you, man. Robin Swindell, Craig Robinson, appreciate you guys as well. All right. Now, let's see here. What questions do we have? What other questions do we have? What would be the approximate cost for getting into slow pitch jig fishing? So it kind of depends on you and your budget and what you want to do. You could go big and get a $300 rod and a $500 reel. You could go budget and get a $120 rod with a $100 reel. So it really depends. You could get into slow pitch jigging for $300-400, or you can get into it for $1,000. But I can tell you, you catch your first fish on one of those slow pitch jigging rods, it does get a little addicting quickly, and generally it's going to be more money pretty fast. Because once you have a handful of jigs, then you need more jigs, and it's kind of like, well, I don't have that jig, and I don't have that jig in this color, and I don't have that jig in this color and that size, and I need these hooks, and what about these hooks? And it gets out of hand pretty quickly. So slow pitch jigging is a lot of fun. It's very addicting, but it is a little costly just because things start to add up, and those jigs are pricey. So it is like having a firearm affliction or a fishing. I mean, even normal bait fishing, how many rods do you have? You generally have 3, 4, 5 rods. You generally have a big tackle box full of hooks, swivels, leads, all that good stuff. It's like starting fresh, your first day learning how to fish when you get into slow pitch jigging. Now you need 2, 3, 4 more rods. Now you need 2 or 3 more tackle boxes full of stuff, and everything is $20, $30, $40 when it comes to the jigs and all that. So it is expensive, I will not lie, and it does add up quickly. Richard Harcourt, appreciate those stars, my friend. All right, next question. What species is caught most on your trips? It depends on the trip. 39-hour trip, your most commonly caught species is probably a mangrove snapper or a vermilion snapper. Porgies are pretty common too. 12-hour extreme, I would say probably red grouper, mangrove snapper. As you work your way in, those white grunts are the most common, most aggressive, most prolific fish. So it kind of depends on the trip as far as what's the most common, but generally the deeper you go, the bigger the fish on average. Just a general rule of thumb. As you go offshore, you're going to encounter bigger fish. All right, let's see what other questions do we have here. I think it's time to do another giveaway too, Josh. We did our 10-hour trip. Let's do the Hubbard's Marina swag pack. The Hubbard's Marina swag pack. Lucky winner is Wayne Wilhite Jr. Congratulations from Georgia, Wayne, with that big win of the swag pack. Remember, send us your home address and your t-shirt size, and we will send you out that Hubbard's Marina swag pack to your house. All righty. Now, let's see what our next question is. How deep is a 39 and 12-hour extreme? Trying to get my slow pitch jigging set up right. 39 and 12-hour extreme, 44-hour going to be same kind of depth, distance, 70 to 100 miles, fishing around 120 to about 250 foot. Jig-wise, I would bring about 80 grams to about 350 grams to make sure you're set. That is to encounter slower currents, lighter bites, and then also to encounter heavier currents. You can still be slow pitch jig fishing. So 80 to about 350 grams is all you need for a 39-hour trip. For a 12-hour extreme, I'd probably go like 150 to 250, maybe 300. That way you can bring a little less jigs and dial in a little closer, just because you're not going to have as much room, and you have to pack a little lighter on a 12-hour extreme. What bait do you use for bluefish? Shrimp? Question mark. Bluefish are like mackerel. They are very fast swimming pelagic fish. They're looking for something flashy and fast moving. So generally white bait is going to be your best option if you're using live bait, but I would not use live bait for mackerel or bluefish. I would throw a gotcha plug. That's that long, skinny, silver tube-looking lure with 2 treble hooks on it. Cast that out as far as you can and let it sink for a minute or two. Not a minute or two, but let it sink for 15 seconds and then start retrieving it really, really fast. Stop every now and again and then keep retrieving it. Just a quick pause. Faster moving, flashy lures are going to be your bait. The Yozuri Crystal Minnow, one of those lipped, small lipped, suspended and twitch baits are a good option too, but they're expensive, and bluefish have sharp teeth that tear them up pretty quickly. That's why a gotcha plug is so good. It's cheap. You can also use a casting spoon and put a little weight on it in front of it to keep it down in the water, and that's good to go. But expensive lures, soft plastics, they're going to get torn up pretty quick by bluefish. Do you see many Yvette 50 wides on the 12-hour extreme trip? An Yvette 50 wide is a little too big, a little too heavy generally for a 12-hour extreme trip. I would be fishing something like a Talica 16, Daiwa Saltiga LD50. Those are going to be my go-to sizes, capacity, strength, if you've got the funds for those higher-end reels. Something with around 40 pounds of drag, but something that's going to be smaller and more compact for sure. And a Yvette 50 wide would be good on a 39-hour trip if I'm dropping down a really big dead bait or a really big live bait, or if I wanted to troll. On a 12-hour extreme, you could use it too, like during gag grouper season. If you wanted to fish bigger baits the whole trip, you could bring that big reel out there for them, for the big gags, or for amberjack season, for example. So it's up to you. If you comment on Facebook but watch on YouTube, are you entered for winning? Yes. All you have to do is comment once on Facebook. You can watch on YouTube, you can watch on Trovo, you can watch on Twitch, you can watch on a different Facebook page. You just have to comment one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream in order to be eligible to win. Then you have to watch. So if you're watching on YouTube, that's fine. But if you walk away and we announce your name and you don't claim your trip fast enough, then you're not watching live and you don't win. So you do have to watch live. That's going to be the important thing. Dude, that spam thing is so annoying now. We get that message 100 times a day. Your Facebook page is going to be shut down. Please click this spam link and we will steal all your information. It's so silly. Jason said, when is your Bass Pro seminar? We are backing out of Bass Pro Shops, so we will not be having Bass Pro Shop seminars any longer. They have been a little bit tricky to work with. That's ironic. The logo popped up. We have made the decision in 2024 to back out of the contract with Bass Pro Shops. Been a little tricky to work with. It's over in Tampa. It's not in our backyard. And we want to continue working with local shops and keep it local and shop small and all that good stuff. And we're going to still do seminars. We just got to figure out a new home to do seminars. That's where we're at with the whole deal right now. How deep is it? Oh, wait. I think I already answered this one. We're out of questions already? Holy moly. Wow. We're flying tonight. We're ahead of schedule. So out of questions, one thing we're definitely trying to focus on is we have upcoming our golf council meeting at the end of this month. We're going to be flying out to New Orleans. And one thing that we might need some help with is, and I'll let you guys know, is hopefully some conversations happen around red grouper. Very concerned with what's going on with red grouper. We had last year, we've already talked about it. We've already done videos. We've already talked about it during the show. We had that wave 4 red grouper data that all of a sudden the first 6 months of the year, January through June, we only caught 60% of the quota. The first 19 days in July, we caught another additional 70% of the quota, which means we overfished red grouper by 130% this last year. So that's concerning. That doesn't add up. It's not possible. It's not realistic. So we're going to really be hammering that home at this golf council meeting, and it's on the agenda to talk about, and it will be interesting to see how they handle that. Now, fast forward, we should be getting Wave 5 data from 2023. Wave 5 data would be the landings for the recreational sector for September and October of 2023. What happened in September and October 2023, guys? Gag grouper season. So I've been waiting for that information to come out, and that information has still not been published to their website page. I'm going to pull it up right now just to see if they've posted it since I checked yesterday. But it is pretty darn shady / scary why they have not updated the Wave 5 data. Generally, it's about a 2-month wait. So what should be, let me just updated 10/31. Yeah, so still not updated. Generally, it's a 2-month wait. So if the Wave 5 is September and October, end of November, end of December, around early January, that Wave 5 data should be on their website. It's still not there. And the more I ask about it, the more I've been told to hurry up and wait. And there's a reason it's not published yet. So I'm a little concerned, and hopefully we'll have some good news there on the gag grouper season, because remember, that Wave 5 data is going to dictate what happens with gags. If we hit our quota, we're going to have a very similar season this year with a September 1st start date and an October 19th-ish closer on red grouper. If we go over our quota, that means we're probably going to have a September 1st start date. We're going to see a closure maybe late September, maybe 3-4 weeks of gags. If we go way over, we could see no season for gag grouper in 2024. So it's a big question mark, and I'm very concerned / interested to see what happens. So we should know more at this golf council meeting. So huge implications at the end of this month for red grouper, for gag grouper. They're also going to finalize the catch levels, increased catch levels for lane snapper, which are all things that you guys care about, we care about, and we'll be flying to New Orleans to figure it out. Good question there. Did the Coast Guard inspection go well? It did. Coast Guard inspection went very well on the Florida fishermen. We should be out of dry dock on time. Not thinking we're going to be early, but we should be right on time, which is good. What trip would be good to troll a Nomad DTX 120 for 25 foot or more? Generally, that's going to be 39-hour trip on the ride out. Remember, we can troll on our 5-hour half day. 10 hours and 12 hours are generally moving a little too fast to troll. Then we can also troll on our 39 and 44-hour trips. So 39 or 44-hour are going to be your best bet to troll that bigger one. And also, generally, we're going to be doing that once we're out there into blue water. The first 25, 30 miles from shore, we're generally trolling the plug, the spoon with a planer, a number 1 or number 2 planer. I don't feel like we should answer this question nor recognize this question. Someone said, what kind of deal do I get for getting the Hubbards or the Captain Dylan Hubbard fan club tattoo? I would not say that. Let's not start that. While I am humbled and honored, but I would not recommend that tattoo. But I do appreciate the thought. Now, yes, Josh is correct. The Hubbard's Marina tattoo deal still stands. Was it 239 hours? I think it was 2. If you get a Hubbard's Marina logo, so the fish, Hubbard's Marina, I like the square. If you get the full square logo, that's legit. But even if you just do the fish and the Hubbard's above it and the Marina below it, we've had a few people do it so far. I'll go to share screen, Josh, so he can pull it up. We've had a few people do it so far. Rick Rogers from Colorado did it. Brian Eakins here in St. Pete did it. We've had, there was somebody else who had it as well. I forget. But 2 free 39-hour trips if you get the tattoo. You could just do the fish in the white Hubbard's Marina, or you could do the whole square. It's up to you. But 2 free 39-hour trips. If you get the Captain Dylan Hubbard fan club thing, that's your call. But I am not going to encourage that.
We're adding you to the 86 list.
All right. So, speaking of the Captain Dylan Hubbard fan club thing, a lot of people have been asking about that shirt. Remember, Josh released a pre-order of that shirt, and it was on our website, and you could order it. You were pre-ordering a shirt that was going to be made and mailed out 3, 4, 5 weeks away. A lot of people have been calling asking about the shirt. We actually got it ordered this past week. We should be receiving those shirts soon. Have you heard anything from Sean by chance?
He said about 2 weeks out.
So it's probably be one more week.
We just put it in last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably get it beginning of February, second week of February.
So you will get it mailed to your house probably end of January, early February.
Yeah, second
based
week
on
of
that.
February, you should have them.
Yeah, so there you go. If you ordered one of the Captain Dylan Hubbard fan club t-shirts, I'm sorry, but it is coming soon. All right. Now, let's see here. Yeah, 2 free 39-hour trips in return for the Hubbard's Marina logo. But I do want to stipulate it has to be in a showable spot, right? Has to be like forearm, calf, prefer the face. If we're going that route. If you get a neck tattoo,
3 fishing trips. You
neck
get
tattoo,
blasted
face
on your
tattoo. If you get it on your cheek, we'll talk. We'll probably give you more than 2 39-hour trips. But if it's somewhere showable, arms, that kind of thing, you'll get your free 39-hour trips. If you put it on your heart as well, I'll give you 2. But like lower back tats, we're not going to count. All right. On your butt, Tony Barnes, that does not count.
What if I was just to get a lower back of just the fish?
Of the fish,
With,
like
some little
Smokey.
vines. Yeah, like
Smokey has a
Smokey's.
lower back tattoo of just.
I didn't
want to
say Smokey.
No, I'll shout Smokey out. He's got a lower back, what he calls. This is not my terminology. This is Smokey. He calls it a tramp stamp, and it's a little gag group, or no, it's a black grouper. So ask Smokey next time he's working, or next time he goes over to pick a fish up off the deck. Watch that shirt slide up a little bit. There's a black grouper on his lower back. Pretty funny. Thoughts on salted bait? Seems convenient for the guy whose wife isn't keen to see him bait in the fridge freezer. Are there issues, drawbacks? What I recommend doing, brine your bait wise, really mainly best on 39-hour or 44-hour trips. You could do it for some of the day trips like the 10 or 12-hour, but you would need to do it the night before at your house. The 39-hour trip, the 44-hour trip, generally people do that on the boat, on the ride out, would be the best bet and make it easier for you. On a 10-hour trip, the boat isn't riding out long enough. You don't have a long enough window for that brine to kind of set up. So you would need to do that the night before at your house. You would have to go out and buy the bait, buy the salt, buy the cooler. For the 39-hour trip, you just show up with the little cooler and the salt. We'll provide you the bait. And you could do it on the ride out. So it makes it a little easier. So it does work well, though. Brine bait is a good option. You're only brining. So before we get into this, you're only brining dead bait. You don't take your pinfish and brine those. You don't brine your live shrimp. So don't worry about salting down your live pinfish, which I've seen people try to do that before. So we're only talking about brining dead frozen bait. And generally, you're never going to brine the squid. It's already tough. You're not going to brine a whole dead bonita. That doesn't make any sense. We're talking about threadfin, sardines, cigar minnows. Those smaller white bait looking dead frozen baits is what we're brining. Generally, what you're going to do is you're going to cut the head, cut the tail, trim the belly a little bit, make your bait size pieces, and then put a thin layer of those frozen baits, thick layer of salt, thin layer of baits, thick layer of salt, thin layer of baits, and fill up that small, like kind of 6-pack-ish cooler. If they're frozen solid, you really don't need much ice, just a dash of water, maybe a saltine of ice, but you really don't need ice if it's really frozen, especially this time of year. It's already cold out. You don't need any ice in that bait cooler. Just bait, salt, bait, salt, bait, salt. That's the kind of thing you want to roll. All right, let's see here. I saw rod rentals are around $25 to $30 a rod, and that's going to be for 39 and 44-hour trips. It's $25 to $30. And the reason it's a little bit more pricey is because of mainly the lead. And really hook costs have gone up exponentially too, but lead costs are extremely expensive now. So we give you a rod, reel, and we provide all the tackle when you rent a rod and reel, or you can bring your own rod and reel, but I guarantee you're going to spend more than $25, $30 getting enough tackle for a 39-hour trip. So really it's a killer deal to get the rod rental. But the reason it's not included in the ticket price, we actually got a 1-star review the other day because someone was upset that we charge for rod rentals. The reason we do it that way and we don't include it in the ticket price is because we try to keep the ticket price as low as possible. So if you have your own rod and reel, you can come out with us, not rent a rod and reel, and it's a little cheaper. Whereas if we just included it in the ticket price, we'd be charging more for the ticket price for everybody, even if you have a rod and reel. So we try to make it a little bit cheaper by not including food and drink, make that an extra option, not including this, not including that, and make it kind of a la carte. So you could bring all your own stuff and save a little bit of money, or you could show up with nothing, get a meal package, get a live bait option, get a rod and reel rental, and we'll provide everything to you, but it's a little bit more money. So that's how we kind of try to run our business, and that's how our business model works. A little bit more a la carte in that respect. All right, I think we have time for one more question before we get up or get out of here. I want a slow pitch jig. I think I have what's needed. What trip should I book? Great question. Slow pitch jigging, what I would recommend if you're a newbie is do a 39-hour trip, January, February, late April, May, October, November, December, slower times. September, early October is a little busy now because it gags. June, July, early August, not a good time because of red snapper season. But January, February, and into March, April, we run less 39 hours, so they get a little bit busier. But go on a 39-hour because the reason why, you get so much time. You can spend 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours during the day messing around with your slow pitch jig. And it's not really going to detract from you too much because you still get to bait fish and you still have plenty of time to try different things. The 39-hour also gives you a little bit more elbow room. Those times a year I mentioned, generally the trips are super light, so you're going to have plenty of room around you. And it's just a good trip to kind of learn the waters. The 12-hour extreme is also a great option to slow pitch jig, but you need to be towards the front of the boat. You need to let the captain and crew know, hey, I'm going to be slow pitch jigging today. But the extreme trip is not the best to learn how to slow pitch jig because generally there's going to be a few more people on the boat. You're a little closer together. It's a smaller boat. It's only a 44-foot catamaran go fast boat. So you just don't have the extra added room. So really, slow pitch jigging on the 12-hour stream is a little bit more advanced because of that. So I don't recommend learning how to slow pitch jig on the 12-hour extreme trip. I'd try it on a 39-hour trip. I'd bring my bait tackle, plan to fish a little bait, plan to fish a little slow pitch, get your feet wet. If you like it, maybe do another 39-hour. Once you get a little bit more advanced, then you can pop out there on the extreme trip. But the 39 hours is only a little bit more money, and it's going to give you a lot more fishing time, a lot more flexibility, and generally more elbow room if you go in those times a year. That's not red snapper season. That's not the short gag grouper season. You'll have a lot of elbow room around the boat. Let's see. I think we're out of time. Yep. We're out of time. But what? Did I miss something?
2 trips to give away. We have a 5-hour and the 39-hour.
Oh, we haven't done this 5-hour yet. Oops. I think I covered all my announcements. Let's go ahead and give away our 5-hour half day. Then we'll do our wrap up and our 39-hour. So, lucky winner of our 5-hour half day for 2 guests is Willie Jackson from Apollo Beach. What's up, buddy? I hope you're going to enter our barbecue contest, Willie, because I know you are a barbecue connoisseur of sorts. He's got Willie's Smoke Shack is his business name. I think he does deliveries and stuff, so look him up. I have been a loyal follower of his social media exploits. If you post barbecue photos a lot on social media, I will enjoy your posts. So let's see who won the 39-hour trip. But before we do, remember every Sunday night, 7:30 p.m. right here, our Hubbard's Marina live stream show. So hopefully we'll see you every Sunday night. Hopefully you'll tell your friends about the show as well. Hopefully you'll get a chance to come out and join us. Remember, this week, best weather is going to be best weather and fishing is probably going to be Tuesday. Second best weather and fishing day is going to be Monday and Friday. It even looks maybe possible a little bit Thursday. Stay tuned to our daily updates. We're trying to do almost everyday updates. TikTok, we're really trying to grow that. So if you're not following us on TikTok, change it. Help me out, please. Trying to grow our TikTok channel. So help us out. Follow us on TikTok. Check out our Instagram, our YouTube, whatever. We try to update YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok with those daily videos, and then we share it on our Instagram and Snapchat stories, a small snippet of it at least. So that's the way we're rolling right now. Hopefully we'll see you next week for another episode of the live stream show. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see you out in the water as well. Don't forget, February 6th at Finn's Bar and Grill, Captain Palooza, January 23rd, Tuesday, Bartow Ford with Cap Mike Anderson and Captain, I blanked on the name, Danny Allen. I can't believe I blanked on Captain Danny Allen. And then also Final Friday, end of the month, we've got tons of barbecue, tons of free crawfish and beer as well. Plus, we got that seafood market rocking and rolling. If you haven't stopped by the seafood market, Don's Dock Seafood Market at the end of the boardwalk, check it out. If you want your fresh fish, fresh stone crab, fresh clams, fresh oysters. We've got a multitude of different fresh seafood items. So if you're running low because you haven't been out there on the water, it's a little too rough to go fishing, come stop by Don's Dock and get your fresh fish. You can always purchase your fresh fish from Don's Dock. If you're too busy to go fishing, come buy some at Don's Dock. Jason Richmond, appreciate those stars to end up the show. David Barr as well. Appreciate all the star senders, all our supporters in our supporters club. Our supporters after show is going to kick off at 8:45 in the supporters page. If you want to become a supporter, it's only $4.99. You get a lot of behind the scenes info, a little bit more connectivity, and we hope to see you there in our supporters after show at 8:45 p.m. Let's find out who won our 39-hour trip for one lucky winner. Lucky winner is Scott Bradford from Orlando. You got 5 minutes or less, Scott. Text us at the phone number at the bottom of the screen to claim your free trip with your full home address. The rest of you guys, we'll see you again soon. Don't forget, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. If you decide to get the Hubbard's Marina tattoo, give me a shout. We'll set up your free trips. Y'all have a good night. Tight lines, we're out.